All right. Welcome to the Financial Abundance Podcast. Today we have a special guest. We have Mr. Lee Broders, a veteran and international business growth mentor and life coach who helps people find clarity and confidence with military precision to start and grow their life and business, folks. You are in for a treat. Stay to the end because Mr. Broders is going to teach you how to have financial abundance. He's going to share some business tips with you, and most importantly, some life tips that will help you reach your goals. With that said, let me bring on Mr. Lee Broders. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much for having me here.
Wonderful, wonderful. For those who are not familiar with your story, can you just kind of tell us who you are and what you're known for?
So I'm known for business growth mentoring, helping businesses grow, and also life coaching, helping people grow their personal lives. I've been doing it for a fair few years now, but I started many years back in Birmingham. I didn't do well at school. I ended up joining the military, the British Army, and did 10 years serving with the British Army, coming out at 26, and in 1996 started my first ever business.
Whoa, back up. You said you was with the British Army. Whoa. Tell me, how did that help you in life? You know, because I know, like myself, I was in the U.S. Army, was in the Army for 4 years out of high school, and it gave me a sense of a purpose. And it also showed me that, you know, you can do more by 9 a.m. than most people do by 6 p.m.
That's so true. That's so true. And that's another story. For me, what I learned was self-resilience, self-confidence, and all the things that, as a business owner, you end up portraying. It wasn't an easy journey. There were lots of ups and downs, like everything. But yeah, for me, I'd say I spent 10 years, I joined at 16 and a half, and it was relatively defining for me, for who I am now.
Wonderful. And can you kind of tell us a little bit of what is something in your life that allowed you to become the person that you are as far as being an entrepreneur?
Oh, there's so many. I think for me, it's been able to step out of my comfort zone, push myself forward, and not give up. And with that, I actually do say I've failed at a number of businesses. I've also been successful at a number of businesses. Now, if I hadn't been willing to step out and keep going and pushing on, my successful businesses might not have been successful, but more so, I wouldn't have learned from all the failures that I've had in my other businesses.
Interesting. And so what's been one of your greatest like business adventures, most rewarding, something that really makes you like, wow, I can't believe I achieved that goal?
So I suppose for me is with my businesses, I've got a number of businesses of which I'm not actively involved in, but I still get revenue from. And I suppose my biggest takeaway was at 52 back in July 2022. I decided to retire.
Okay. You decided to retire, and how has retirement been for you?
Boring, boring.
Boring.
I lasted for a few months, and then it just wasn't what I'd expected. It wasn't the sitting on the beach. It wasn't. You get bored, and even if I'd sat on the beach, I could have probably lasted a week, maybe two at a push. But for me, it's about having a fulfilling and satisfying life, and I get that from helping other people. But what I did do is I realised that I had some more learning to do, and I've been a lifetime learner. But I started a master's in business mentoring in the January of 2023, and graduated with a master's in October 23, which was this time last year, actually. So not that long ago.
Wow, amazing. So let's go back, 10, 15 years ago. Did you see you being able to overcome some of the failures that you faced and to becoming the person that you are today?
Oh no, I don't think you do. It's a continuous learning process through life, whether it's through our personal life or through business life. No, there are many times that I I literally had put everything into a business for it to go wrong, and the businesses that did fail. Most of them cost me a lot of money, time, most of all emotion, and that's one of the things I don't think people think about is it's not all about the money. When the emotions kick in, it can be really hard to get past that. Um, one of the ones for me was I did a Masters of Law at 47 back in 2017, and I went through burnout whilst running my book. So I was doing it whilst running my business. I went through burnout. I think that became quite a defining point for me to realise that even though I've been through the military, I'd had many failures in business as well as successes. It was the fact that burnout can hit anyone. Doesn't matter who they are.
Okay, okay. And from a financial, number, what's been like a goal that you think other young entrepreneurs are able to hit? For example, say you're thinking, well, I want to be able to own an apartment building that's going to generate 30,000 in annual income, or I want to open up a store and I want to be able to generate, $5,000 in profits. What's a realistic goal for those who are looking to go into entrepreneurship or investing in real estate?
That is their own personal goal. So I know what sort of I look at. Um, it's how much, and again, it's a question I ask my mentees: how much do you want to make, whether it's a business or in life? Once you know how much you want to make, that's when you decide how you're going to get there. So if you want to make $1 million a year, well, that equates down to 83,333 per month. So how do you get to that 83,000? Well, it depends what you're doing. But that's the thing. You break it down so that you can get to whatever goal you set. Recently, I was in the Telegraph talking about money buying us happiness. Everyone's individual. Some people are happy with 100,000. Some people are happy with 500,000. Some people are happy with 1 million. You have to decide what you want and then go out and get it.
All right. And then when you're coaching business professionals and entrepreneurs, do you do you think it's worthwhile to make that leap versus taking a guaranteed paycheck working for an employer?
That's always the question. For me, what I talk about with people who are looking at starting a business is do something that you enjoy doing and don't jump into it full time to start with. Ideally, start it as a side business and make sure you've got a financial buffer, an emergency fund, whatever you want, that can help you live so many months into the future. So, the financial buffer for me is finding out how much your living expenses are per month and then multiply it by 3 to give 3 months, 6 or 12, so that you can live into the future if you have no money coming in. Now, what that does for me and for the people that do it is it gives them security because they're not then living in a life of scarcity. They're not panicking that they've got no money coming in. Because you've got that financial buffer, it allows you to keep going, to persevere, and be resilient going forward.
All right. From your perspective, what's the best investment that somebody can pursue?
There's so many different ones, and it depends on your risk appetite, as well as the capital you've got to put in. I'm very much a learner from Warren Buffett, who said, invest like you buy groceries, a little bit at a time, building it up over time. For me, my portfolio of properties has done really well. Not to sell, but as rental. So that brings me an income every month. Other ways of doing it are indices. The S&P 500 is really good, basically because it grows. It's got the top 500 businesses in the US. and if they're not in the top 500, they get dropped out. So the growth over the years that you actually look at it is always going up. But it's about starting early. Starting today is better than waiting till tomorrow. Starting 10 years ago is better than starting today. But it's about being consistent with your investments as well. As I said, think about it like you buy your groceries, not like you buy your perfume. If you buy it with your groceries, a bit goes in every month, every week, as opposed to a big lump in one hit. So that for me is one of the things that's helped me, is a consistent amount of money going in to investments. And then you also get the compounding effect on top of that, which is, again, another story in itself.
Great. I'm gonna come back to the S&P 500 because I that's my passion. Let's the 25-year-old person who's looking to invest in real estate, what would you tell them?
There's different ways to work with real estate. There's buy and flip, which means you buy it, you work hard on it and do it up, and then you sell it. What that does is brings in an amount of capital that can be used for the next one and the next one. For me, it's good, but it takes time. It takes time to actually do the work, and you have to be able to do the work or pay somebody else for. For me, I work on something called an HMO model, house of multiple interest. So renting a room. So I'll buy a house, I'll get it done up, and then I'll rent it per room. Now, for me, there's other ways of doing it. There's the serviced accommodation, the Airbnb, there's commercial lets, there's lots of ways. But if I explain the house of multiple option, the HMO option, if you do a buy-to-let normal and put one family in there, if you lose that family, you lose all the income. Mm-hmm. If you do it room at a time, you can afford to, say you've got 4 rooms that are rented, you can afford to lose one and only lose 25% of the income coming in, which you can then fill. So for me, for cash flow, for security, that's the business model or the property model that I use with my properties. Now, on average in the UK, the average price of a property goes up by about 4% annually. Now, I say average. There are peaks and troughs in all real estate. But if you look at the average, so if you every year you're making roughly 4%, so you keep it and keep it. And with that, it's bringing you in money constantly.
Okay, you said HMO. What does that stand for again?
So it's a house of multiple occupancy. It's renting a room.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love how you broke that down, looking at basically risk, right? You can rent to one person, so you get all the rent from one person. But if they don't pay or when they're moving, then all of a sudden your income goes down to zero. But if you have a 3-bedroom house and you rent out each room, if one person moves out, your income only went down by 1/3. That's a great business model. How did you come upon that?
So I've spent lots of money learning things about investment, S&P 500, as you said, we'll talk about later, about investing. I've spent a lot of money, and I always say I've spent hundreds and thousands of pounds so other people don't. So it was one of the strategies, the same as serviced accommodation, rent to rent, that is used within the real estate markets to actually make money. As I said before, you can buy and flip. And for me, that resonated with me because I'm not risk averse at all. I'm very much into taking risks, because the higher the risk or the better the risk, bigger risk, normally the better the reward. But with the HMO, it's just a constant steady, and it mitigates the risk of losing everything, all your income from one. As you said, if you lose a tenant, it just spreads it around. And interestingly enough, you can actually charge more for a room instead of a house. So I get more money in for charging per room than I do for renting the whole house.
Okay, wonderful. touching on the S&P 500, the concept of buy your investments like you buy your groceries. That's what I like. I'm always talking about invest in the S&P 500 for as little as $100 a month. You can have access and you can be an owner of over 500 businesses. You can own Tesla, right? You can own Apple. I mean, the opportunity to invest now compared to 30 years ago are abundant, right? Because 30 years ago, you had to pay somebody to go and open up an account for you. You had to have the money to buy the whole share. Nowadays, you can buy a fraction of a share. Fractional shares, you can buy. I like Vanguard VOO ETF because of the
Yeah.
low management fees. What's your favorite?
So I do S&P 500. I use Vanguard as well. We've got it in the UK. I also use Fidelity. That's more for my stocks and shares. And again, Benjamin Graham came up with a number. Now, if you haven't heard of Benjamin Graham, he was Warren Buffett's mentor. And he wrote a book called The Intelligent Investor. Having read it a number of times, shall we say, you get up with the Graham number, which is about buying undervalued stocks that pays dividends. So once you've done that, and you can start looking at where is the S&P spreads the risk across the 500 companies, you can actually then look at individuals now, companies that you can then get a dividend for and pay once you started buying their stock. Again, I always say that I don't see it as gambling, but I do say that if you're going to invest any money at all, make sure you can afford to lose it.
Exactly. And that's why they say, personal finance is personal to you. You have to make sure you do your own research, talk to your own tax accountant, read your IRS, whatever the government rules are, because it's personal to you. Because for some people, they don't want to lose $1. Others are okay with losing $20. They won't even cry about it, So it's all about your risk tolerance. And, there's all these different investments out there where people want to invest, but they don't understand that, like you said, more risk, more money, but the greater the risk, the more money you can lose all of a sudden overnight.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the words I talk to my mentees and business owners. I talk about LPAD, which is learn it, perfect it, automate it, and delegate it. And for that is, if you're going to do some sort of investments, look into it first. I also do Forex trading, which is interesting. Some people say it's gambling, but again, it's the risk appetite that people have got. But again, you need to learn how to do property investment, Forex trading, stocks and shares, S&P 500. Doesn't matter what you're going to be investing in. One, you need to be able to afford to lose any money you're investing. But two, you need to understand how it works, because there's no use me personally thinking that I'll go and do it without understanding how it works, because that's how you end up losing your money.
Exactly. What final words of financial advice do you want to share with the audience?
I suppose what I'd say is we're all individuals. We all have different thresholds of how much we want to earn. But what you have to remember is you're the only person that can actually make that happen. It's only you as an individual that can actually step out of your comfort zone and do the things that you need to do to make money. Now, I talk about starting your own business quite a lot, or growing a business. As an employee, you will always be paid what your employer values your time at. You're selling your time. I'm a great believer in, once you've actually got a financial buffer and start a business on the side, as I said before, until it comes to a salary replacement, all of a sudden, freedom will become yours. My final parting word will be, people talk about wealth. For me, I've chased money. I've found that I'm wealthy in time, which is much more palatable.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm gonna see if I can extract one more last lesson for the person who just graduated from high school, right? and they're looking at their life and they're like, wow, there's so many opportunities. And guess what? That person is you. What would you change as far as your investments, your thoughts on money?
So this is a question I get asked a lot. What would I tell my younger self? Where I am, I've been through lots of ups and downs. Whether it's been joining the military, whether it's having businesses that have failed, whether it's having a divorce, having children, there have been ups and downs in my life. If I was to change any of those things, even my investments, I would not be the person I am now. And I've lost hundreds of thousands in property investments before I knew what I was doing. So for me to change anything in my past would not make me the person I am now. And the chances are, if I did, I wouldn't be speaking to you today.
That is powerful. That is powerful. With that powerful message, you can tell that you are one of the sought after business coach and life coaches out there. How can people reach you? What's the best way for them to reach you, to contact you? What's the best way?
Well, the best way, I suppose, would be to look up on Google. But for Lee Broders, my name's there, if you have a look. On my website, which is leebroders.com. And that links across to my Business Growth Global business and also my personal speaking business or professional speaking business. So have a look. I'm on social medias. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp. No, WhatsApp doesn't count as social media now, does it? On Instagram. So have a look. I'm out there. I am quite prolific on Facebook and LinkedIn because I enjoy giving value to people, helping people that are on the journey that I've been through.
What's your favorite topic to speak on when you're on stage? What's that motivational message that you love to give?
I think it's about never giving up. Don't give up because you don't know the next person you speak to could be that one person that changes your life. Don't give up because you're struggling with your business because that next person you speak to could be the one to change your company. And that could be the customer that you need. So many people give up too early in business. And it's not an easy thing, business, and I'll never say it is, but it's keep pushing on. And I think that's something that I learned in the military, about keep pushing on. So that's one of the things that I think is, for me, is a huge thing. Having faith in yourself that the path you're on is the right path and you will achieve whatever you want to achieve if you put your time, effort into it.
Wonderful, powerful. This is your host, Michael Dillard, on the Financial Abundance Podcast. This was another great episode. We have other people joining the show. If you want to be a guest and share best tips on personal finance and how to be resilient, just hit me up, send me a DM. And thank you once again to Mr. Broders, folks. Make sure you send him a message, inbox him, flood his messages, his LinkedIn pages, and tell him one thing that you learned from him today. That's your assignment, folks. We always want to give a challenge because in order to grow, you have to develop. Sharing is caring. Send him a message showing how he was able to impact your life today.